everybody. Welcome once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I am Russ.
And I'm Chris.
And it is episode 233 back in the virtual nerd basements. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Wow, hell of a wet week here in lovely Detroit, Michigan. We had last week a kind of torrential downpour last weekend that destroyed. Oh, bless you.
That's a cough. I got something cut.
Oh, okay.
Of course, it's going to do this right as we're starting the show.
Right as we're starting, right? Exactly. It just wrecked thousands of homes. Like there were, probably thousands of people felt the effect of flooding. Back in 2013, we had a massive, horrible storm that just dumped immense amounts of rain and water. And then there were some of the pumping stations failed and flooded just hundreds of homes here in right in my neighborhood, in my area, in Royal Oak and Ferndale and Oak Park and Hazel Park. There were just tons and tons of homes. The streets were lined with the detritus of basements.
It was also in a lot of other places too.
But. Sure, yeah. But what had happened is like apparently scrappers had snuck into the places where the pumping stations were and stole the copper and basically disabled the pumps. So
that's also why 75 was flooded right there at 696. There was people were out there with fishing poles.
Yeah, there's just like I said, the pumps had failed. So because of that, so many basements flooded. Thankfully, I was able to, thanks to some of my friends, this happened in early August of 2013. It was actually, and I remember this clearly, it was the day that Robin Williams they announced Robin Williams had passed away. But thanks to some help from some friends, we were able to stop the water from coming up in my basement. Was coming up the utility sink in my basement. We were able to stop it. All I had was a little puddle, as opposed to people that had gotten inches and inches and inches of rain.
Yeah.
And this happened again over the weekend.
The comics.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for real. I mean, it was crazy. Hey, Sean's on.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you, buddy. Thanks for signing on. We did. Yeah, my friends Liam and Natalie and Scott Mullen from Festival. He had we jumped to and picked a bunch of comics on the floor because they'd been organizing, and so we saved the comics and then we're able to save the basement. But that was not the case with a lot of people this weekend. A lot of my friends on Facebook had very close personal friends had announced, that their basements had 2 and 3 feet of water in them. My buddy David, he lost not only did his basement flood, but his studio also flooded. So he lost all of his artwork, he's a makeup artist, all of his supplies for making prosthetics, just everything was destroyed. His ex, they put the same thing. I mean, one of the guys at work, the assistant art director, his basement flooded. I said another friend from Festival and Theater Bazaar, she and her, the couple, our friend, they bought a house on Monday of last week, and then Friday their basement flooded. So it's been rough, guys. Be thankful, Sean. Be thankful you're in Jersey right now.
Wow, that's not something you hear very often.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's been rough. So for those of you guys in Detroit, for those of you guys who may be listening, Sean's actually coming to town in a couple of days. He's going to be passing through town, so that's kind of cool. It'll be cool to see him on Thursday. So for those of you guys in the Detroit area,
wow, we're getting spammed right now.
Yeah, we're getting spammed. I see that. I hope you guys are dealing. I hope you haven't had too many problems, or it sucks. This really sucks. I mean, when your basement floods, you lose a lot of precious memories and precious things, because that's where is it still flooded? Yeah, in some places. Sean, you're going to want to when you're on your way here, you're going to probably want to watch your routes, because some of the highways, some of the local highways are either shut down or partially flooded or whatever. I-70, there were people that were, taking their canoes and just canoeing down the freeway at different points. There was footage of a guy using a jet ski on Ford Road in Dearborn. My friend Chris Perry, his whole front area, the whole front in front of his house was completely flooded. I would imagine by Thursday, though, I think the rain is supposed to taper off. The really heavy stuff is supposed to taper off. So I think by Thursday, you'll probably be okay. But you might have to take into account that with your route to getting to this area. So yeah, it was pretty rough. I mean, at work, we're having to make some adjustments to work, and it started raining today. We had to take down a lot of the tarps at work that was blocking rain from the rain coming into the building, and it was like my first year again, man. Just rain coming down in certain areas that you might as well have been outside. So it was crazy. So my heart goes out to all those people that are dealing with the loss of essentially your memories. Because that's what you keep in your basement. You keep stuff that you want to keep, but you don't need to see all the time, right?
Yep, right.
So want to send a big thank you out to CD for his donation, his tip last week. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was unexpected, but
unexpected and pretty awesome. Yep. Thank you very much, buddy. We really do appreciate that. What else? Last night was the big fireworks here in Detroit. They did move the fireworks. Normally it's on the Detroit River in downtown Detroit. It's the Ford fireworks, been going on for decades, and sponsored by Ford, and it's also sponsored by a couple other different companies sponsor it as well. The city of Detroit gets involved. My company, the Parade Company, normally does a big party in conjunction with the fireworks, and it's like the official party on the roof of a parking structure right on the Detroit River. Because of COVID and whatnot, the city moved it. They moved it last year, and they moved it this year as well. Even though the city has opened up again a couple, good week or so early, they did move the fireworks as well over to off of the Metro Park off of 16 Mile, and it pissed down on us last night. Like, you could see across the lake, it was just destroying Canada. And then some of it, I mean, it was crazy. And then it came over to some of the rain hit us, and we had to kind of take shelter. But then thankfully the fireworks did go off on time, and it was a pretty spectacular show. So it was pretty great. Not the same kind of level of impressive party that the Parade Company throws, but it was still a pretty great time. So
very cool. It's been a week, dude.
It has been.
Yeah, you were talking about all the rain, though. They were saying, I was talking with some guys at golf on Thursday, and they were saying that we were about 6 inches down for the year on rainfall, and they said that within 5 days they expected us to be back to normal because we're going to get that much rainfall.
Yeah. I mean, some more is coming, but at least from what it looks like, the worst of it has passed us. All right, so we've experienced the worst of it.
Even today, we had a hell of a storm roll through.
Oh yeah,
lots of lightning, lots of thunder. Had both the dogs hiding in the office here with me.
Absolutely, it hit me when I was at work, and it was pretty insane.
So it was raining. It was pouring inside the studio too.
Yeah, yeah, a couple of different spots. I mean, it's just like you might as well have just been standing outside. There's so much water comes through. So we're like I said, we're retarping now. We had to basically put new tarps on the above the water suppression system because some of the tarps were blocking the water suppression systems. So yeah, that's great. But it also gave us the opportunity to kind of put fresh tarping up and kind of get rid of some of the roof detritus that had fallen in. And, I'll be really glad to be out of that building when the time comes. Yeah. What else? It's been how was your week? I mean, what else did you experience?
Um, Not much. I mean, it was. I had golf on Thursday. We had our first like big loss. Um, but we actually golfed all right. Just the other guys golfed better.
Mm,
And Friday didn't do anything. I didn't even get on and do Friday night firefight. I haven't done that in a couple last month or so. I really need to get back to doing that. I was just wasn't up to it. I was just uh, Saturday, Sunday. I don't even. It's everything's blurring together now.
yeah, it's all kind of blurring together too for me. I didn't do anything spectacular over the weekend. I should have probably tried to get some more work done around here and some more artwork finished up and I just like I kind of spent a lot of the weekend just kind of like zoning out. I don't know what it was. I think honestly the heat and the pressure changes and stuff really kind of got to me all weekend
Yeah.
because it was also guys we are seeing record highs. I mean the temperature has been really crazy hot, you know. Oddly enough, when the
Oh,
rain all rolled in, it cooled off though.
yeah.
So
My team did do our team outing last Wednesday, day after our show last week. We went to the hub over in Auburn Hills and did football bowling because they can't call it fouling.
football bowling, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know what fouling is, right? Like fouling warehouse.
No.
Never done fouling? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Well, I guess the fouling warehouse owns the term fouling. So no one else can use it, but other people still do it. Basically what it is you set up a platform, you take 10 bowling pins, set them up just like you're at a bowling alley, and then you have one at each end, and you basically take turns throwing footballs at the other team's bowling pins. First one to knock down all the pins wins.
Okay. Cool. Um, I did play a kind of a cool game yesterday at the thing. Well, my friend Ross, who went to his wedding a couple weeks ago,
Hmm.
Ross and Carrie Ann, he brought this old Viking game called Cube, and it's interesting. You got six sticks on either side that the players hold and throw, and so you can have like upwards of six people on a team, and there are five blocks in front of you, five little blocks on either side of the playing field. And it's only 20-30 feet maybe or whatever. And you got to use these sticks that are like, maybe, I don't know, about a foot long, about 12-inch sticks, like, rods
Hmm.
essentially. And you have to underhand throw them at your opponent's blocks. And then you got to knock the blocks over. And there's some complication. That's the simplified thing. And it was really fun. It was a lot harder than you'd think because the way the sticks like bounce and move and stuff like that. You have to take that into account when you're playing and everything. It was pretty cool. It was a fun game.
Cool.
I mean, it's funny. At one point, we're playing it, and the boss comes walking up, the big CEO of the parade company, Tony Michaels, and he's like, "What are you guys playing?" And we're like, "It's called Cube, and it's an old Viking war game." And he goes, "Looks hard," and I'm like, "Well, it is." But it was kind of fun. It was fun. So yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, guys.
No,
So
I have not never
weird
played
week.
Viking chess. I'm not even going to try and pronounce whatever those. I think I think Sean just hit random keys on the keyboard to make that word
And bless you. Thank you, CD. That's the way a lot of Nordic words sound. Like
Yep.
you're just sneezing. And Naviganen, Mafrunen You know,
Yeah, it's pronounced.
your further but
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, it's like when I look at like Irish words and stuff like that. Renee always says she's like they just wanted to cheat at Scrabble.
It's easy. Like, oh my God, you want to see some really fucked up spelling is Welsh.
Oh yeah.
The Welsh
Oh hell yeah,
language.
dude.
Ah,
Can I
the
buy
but.
a vowel? Because
Yeah,
it's just consonants.
go in and I mean, that's what it looks like to me. And then
Yep.
like then it's the alcohol. You're right, Sean. You're right. It's the alcohol. Like the way they spell, or like the one that one actress that's really hot right now. She's in that movie Lady Bird, Sorsha something,
Mm.
and it looks like it's Siobhan or something. It looks like Siobhan. It's just like
Well,
the way they
Siobhan is Irish,
right.
and that's one that there's letters in there that don't belong in there, and there's letters you pronounce that aren't in there. It's because like the BH in Irish, the BH is a V sound.
Right. Yeah.
So
Exactly. Just weird. Yes, it is easier to say with a few drinks in you. Shavaven give a ribbon. Sugafagan Hargan Fugan. Yeah, see, it's much easier. What are you drinking, man?
I am drinking something that I've been wanting to try for a while now. I picked this up a couple weeks ago, maybe a month. It is the latest Dragon's Milk Reserve from New Holland. It is their 2021 Reserve number 2. It's a double bourbon barrel aged stout with Madagascar and Indonesian vanilla bean.
CD just like, finally. I think he wanted to listen. Just got tired of listening to us rant and ramble and wanted to hear about the booze we're drinking this week.
It is very dark, as a stout should be. It has a lot of vanilla. It even has like almost a little banana-y note. Doesn't have that in the flavor though. Flavor-wise, it is a ton of vanilla, which I love. You got all the some of the oak flavors in there too, but it's just very vanilla. It's very smooth. Honestly, really good. What they say about this one is the second reserve of 2021 brings barrel character to the forefront, complemented by 2 separate editions of carefully selected vanilla beans. First aged for 3 months in bourbon barrels with whole Madagascar vanilla beans, the beer was imparted with the rich and creamy vanilla sweetness. The beer was then moved to a fresh set of bourbon barrels for another 3 months, this time paired with Indonesian vanilla bean. The flavors of toasted oak from the barrel are amplified, married with subtle smoky, earthy, and fruity notes of the vanilla. The result is nothing short of legendary. This is 12.3 ABV, so it's a hefty one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that he was talking about me finally trying this one because I've had it for a while.
I see.
Yeah, I have had it for a little. But I really like this one. It's honestly really good. I like most of the Dragon's Milk Reserves. I haven't liked all of them, but I like this one. I have to say this is probably one of the better ones. My favorite is still the banana coconut. That one was just out of this world. I think I've still got 1 bottle of that.
It just sounds like you're drinking a pie at that point.
Oh, it is, dude. This is the dessert. This is dessert in a glass.
Sean says, "See, it sounds good. I'll be right over."
Come on by, Sean. You
Yeah.
make it before the end of the show.
Yeah, you get a sip. That one is great. Most dragons are awesome.
They are limited and they can be hard to find. Luckily, they distribute a lot to this places in Michigan, so I know where I can find it. I usually wind up even seeing some a couple months after they. For some of them, the ones that are truly spectacular, like the banana coconut, you couldn't find it. Everyone heard how good it was and dashed them up.
Already. Kind of like the way it was when my drink first came out.
Well,
Triple Jam.
One last thing, I'm going to give this probably 4.75.
Oh, okay, right on.
Really good.
Almost perfect.
Yep.
Well, I'm just having a triple jam tonight, but that was the way it was when they first came out with Triple Jam. It was selling like hotcakes. Like, the bottle shops that were carrying it, I couldn't keep it in stock for the first when it was traffic jam. Mm-hmm. And yes, exactly, jamming.
You be jamming, man.
I be jamming. it's great stuff, and I mean I've had it many times on the show. I didn't have a chance to get anything new today, and love this stuff. So, mm, tasty. I also had some Rainbow Seeker the other night. Good shit. Another one of my favorites from Blake's. Blake's has a really great flavor profile. I mean, all of their pretty much all of their products are solid. I mean, there's a few that I don't like. They put out a coffee cider a while
Yeah,
back.
I don't. No, thank you.
No, and there was a couple other ones that I'm like, eh. But for people that like coffee, maybe that's their jam.
Well,
and there was another one.
It's their jam. I see what you did there. But I mean, I've tried that one. I don't care for it. It's like Kunin's did a light colored coffee beer. So it was like it looked like a yellow beer, like a standard like American lager type style beer.
Yeah.
But when you tasted it, it tasted like coffee. And I'm like, no, fuck that. One, I don't like that type of flavor. It didn't work right for me. And two, it made my brain hurt.
Okay. Yeah, Sean, you're right. The a lot of Blakes do tend to be a little on the drier side. I mean, Triple Jam is not though. This is probably their sweetest cider. I'd say it's a toss up between the Rainbow Seeker and the Triple Jam because they are both pretty sweet things. And yes, honestly, CD Zombies Take Manhattan is fantastic.
It is.
Like I'm okay. I like Zombie Killer okay, but I'm not a big cherry guy. So I mean I like it. I'll drink it. But I think Zombies Take Manhattan is I think is an improvement on it. I do really like Zombies Take Manhattan.
It's their take on it being a Manhattan.
Right. Yeah. And I really dug it. So yeah, coffee and cider, not so sure about. When I roll through Detroit, I need to stock up on me. Yeah. Dude, come by the bottle shop or the facility and for the tap room in Ferndale. They've got all the stuff there and reasonable prices. But
yes, and Valentine's whiskeys and gins, yes.
Exactly. Swing by Ferndale, brother. Come on by.
I think they're doing rum now too, I think. I haven't tried
I think
yet.
they might be. Yeah, exactly. Should be a Nerds with Alcohol Booze cruise.
All right, yeah, there we go.
A
cruise along the Great Lakes. That's what it would be. It's
on one of the former Boblo boats.
Yeah.
Puttering around along a river boat.
Well, that's what we'll do. We'll just go down the river and we'll just rent the what is it, the Detroit Princess.
Yeah.
And we'll just go out on that.
There we go. We'd have to get all of our fans, like every single person that's ever
all five of them.
All five of them. No, I mean like all of the people that also download the show and all the people that that sign that liked us on Facebook and whatnot. Yeah, Sean, I think they are doing rum, but I'm on Valentine, but I'm not sure.
Renee said it's taproom drinks only.
Okay. Well,
I still haven't been to Valentine's Tap Room. I need to go.
It's pretty cool. It's right over, not far from here, not far from the house. You could stumble home.
Couple of drunk guys.
A little drinking and talking into us. That's what this podcast is going to turn into.
Yeah, we'll just have a little. We'll have a selfie stick for the video, and then the other person's phone will be our mic, and we'll just. Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, you'd watch it to watch us fall out of the boat probably at some point. Like a couple of drunk morons. You can with the phones they have now. Yeah. Maybe a vain attempt to play a board game on the phone. Jesus. Okay. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. All right. We're getting off topic now.
We are. Yesterday we had Tavern Talk. I was not available to be on the show for the first time, and it kind of sucked because I had to go to the fireworks event. How did that go last night?
It was just me and Pete. And which was kind of appropriate because I mean where we're at right now, there's a lot of focus on his character, so we talked a lot about that and just D&D in general and the way the campaign's going. But yeah, Just some things that are going to be changing and stuff
I,
like that.
I just wanted to. I would have wanted to discuss the fact that I have a suit of +1 plate mail now.
That came up. That was discussed.
I am now the tank. So
You were the tank before. I hate to tell
I
you,
was. I well, sure, of course. But now I'm an even bigger tank, man. 22 AC with 24 with the well, it's 22 AC with my +1 shield as well, and then um and then now if I cast Shield of Faith, that's 10 minutes, another +2 to my AC. At this level, I'm fucking unstoppable. And so
yeah, we'll see about that.
well, yeah, I'm sure you can throw something at me enough that it's gonna get through.
Area Effect don't give a fuck about AC.
That's true. That's true. I do have some pretty solid saving throws though, so there's that as well. So that I'm here to absorb that damage and maybe do a little bit back, but yeah, so that's cool. I mean, I'm looking forward to playing this week. Best trap for players with a bag of holding: a portable hole in a lead well locked chest, too heavy to carry, drop it in the bag. Yeah. No, dude, that's terrible. Because they figured it out. If you put a portable hole in a bag of holding, it breaks the world.
Yeah, it rips a hole in the universe.
It rips a hole
in reality.
Yeah, it rips a hole in the prime material plane, and then and it just sucks in everything around it until it's like until somebody stops it. Apparently,
makes the universe divide by 0.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shit! Ah. Yeah, there was even I saw a schematic of like a trick arrow where you shot it. Doctor Who did it, I'm sure. Of course he did. I think Sean might have been the one to show me, but somebody had figured out a way to have a trick arrow that when you shot it and it released a portable hole into a bag of holding, and so it was basically a quantum singularity arrow. And just created a black hole. Thoughts on Tasha's or the new D&D MTG set coming out? We've talked about Tasha's a little bit.
I'm not a big fan of Tasha's. I think they made things too OP, and things are starting to get spiral out of control. I think it's too Unearthed Arcana, and it wasn't toned down enough to make it balanced for the game. I think there's some great ideas in there. And I think with some tweaking, it could be great and be well balanced. But I really think that the artificers are a little too overpowered. I think some of the spells are overpowered. The new classes, subclasses are definitely overpowered. The Twilight Cleric being able to see 300 feet with dark vision is just ridiculous.
Wow. I have to admit, I haven't looked through a lot of it. I mean, I did like the cursory kind of thing, and I do own a hard copy of it too. I just haven't had a chance to really like delve into it. But from this, I did see some from that, a cursory read through. I did find some cool stuff, and I really want to do some more, like delve into it a bit more. Chris delved into it a lot, and I have heard that there is a lot of stuff in it, that there's some really cool stuff. There's some cool innovative ideas. But there's also some shit that's like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And I have heard a lot of people complain that the artificers are a lot, that there's a lot of, they're not exactly broken, but they are overpowered. I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, there's so much overpoweredness in a lot of aspects of D&D right now. Look at monks, for crying out loud. Like, monks are fucking nasty. I mean,
they are, and
even Renee's monk at 7th level is kick ass. Look at
but look at how often she gets dropped versus everyone else in the party.
Sure.
She goes down quick. Yeah, yes, she's badass and she's really good. But if she takes some hits, she drops.
Yeah, because she needs a better AC. She needs a higher wisdom. But yeah, like Beauregard at the end of Crit Roll season 2, she was pretty fucking nasty.
Oh yeah, well,
she didn't even hit 20th level.
Well, that's the thing. Where I'm at right now, they're I think 13th level. and 13th or 14th, because she said she has 14 key points. Right. But they're 14th level, and I'm getting near the end. But she just had to make a wisdom save, and she rolled really low. And she's like, "Well, can I use a key point to re-roll it?" And everybody was like, "What?" And Travis is like, "Of course, fucking monks,
man." Exactly. Oh yeah, all I heard was combo breaker. Dude, totally. She was. I mean, Bo, too, the thing about Bo, though, too, is like she took some damage. I mean, over the course of the second campaign, she got her ass kicked a lot, but she also did a lot of serious ass kicking. So, yeah, monks are, it has coined the phrase dope monk shit.
Yep.
So, anyway, I don't know. Tasha's, I think we need to, I need to examine it much deeper. But I
like Van Richten's. I like the stuff from Van Richten's.
Yeah.
As far as the new MTG stuff that's coming out, I'm really upset. I'm really disappointed that they're putting out. I mean, I understand Magic the Gathering is their thing, but them trying to force the Magic the Gathering worlds into D&D, I think, is a wrong move. I think they should stick with the realms that are already there that people like, and not try and force all the Magic the Gathering realms. They should be coming out. I mean, really, I think everyone was expecting them to come out with Dragonlance, and I think that is good. I think that one, not doing it with all the hype about the new books coming out and all that stuff, I think that not coming out is going to have upset a lot of fans.
I think you're right. I think maybe they're going to release the Dragonlance book closer to the time when Weiss and Hickman are ready to release the new books. So I mean, it's not. I don't think they're due out until next year.
Yeah.
So maybe that's when they're going to bring out the
maybe.
Dragonlance.
I was hopeful that we were going to get a Greyhawk book, but I don't think that's ever going to happen anymore. When they first started, when Wizards first took over, that was what they wanted to do. They wanted to bring Greyhawk back, and they started to do that, and then that lasted about a year, and then they went, we're just going to go to Forgotten Realms because it's easier.
It's established. It was already kind of established.
Well, both of them were established worlds. It's just that they decided to go with Forgotten Realms because it was more marketable.
Well, that's the thing. Second edition was Forgotten Realms was the second edition world. And I think because they put so much into it.
It became the second edition world when Gary Gygax retired and Ed Greenwood took over and wanted to use his world.
Okay, fair enough. But that was the thing. When they took over, that was the world that was being pushed more so. So they probably just went, let's go with the status quo. And so, now correct me if I'm wrong, didn't third edition happen after Wizards took over or bought TSR?
Yes.
Isn't that's when?
I think they took over during 3.5.
Was it?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay. All right. Yes, Sean says yes. So, okay. I'm just hoping that they don't. I hope we're a long ways away.
So Wizards of the Coast bought TSR on April 10th, 19.
Yeah, I mean, and more or less saved the company too, because it was a good buy because they were struggling. TSR was struggling because at the time White Wolf was killing them. Yeah, they essentially relaunched D&D. Exactly.
Yeah, so third edition came out in 2000, so that was the first version
so they bought
that Wizards put out, and then 3.5 was 2003.
Okay. But yeah, they were struggling. Like I said, White Wolf was killing them at the bookstores and whatnot, and the hobby shops. So they needed somebody to come in and kind of right the ship, and that's what that's what Wizards of the Coast did, from making all that fat magic cash.
Yeah, they made that magic money.
It certainly did. Gen Con 2K was awesome. I do not doubt that.
I've never been to Gen Con. I want to go. It's
Me
not
too.
far. It would be easy to go. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. I mean, depending on when it is, maybe we should both go.
I think it's usually in August.
No, I think Gen Con might be. I went to about 3 in the 90s. Wow, cool. I think it's more like early summer because I don't think it coincides with. It doesn't go up against like Dragon Con or anything.
No, it's August 4th.
Is it really?
August 4th next year.
Okay, so it's right before festival starts then.
Yep.
For me.
It's in Indianapolis, so it's only about 6 hours.
Right. Yeah, a Nerds with Alcohol special from Gen Con. I think that would be fucking fantastic.
That would be cool. We could figure out how to actually stream efficiently from.
We probably couldn't stream it. We'd probably have to like record it and then put it up.
Yeah, it would probably have to be a recorded episode.
Yeah. So Salvatore there and did a ton of battle mech in pods.
I met Salvatore at a bookstore in Lexington, Kentucky. Or no, in Louisville, Kentucky. We didn't have to go to Lexington. I met Butcher in Lexington. I met Salvatore.
The closest I've come to any of those professionals is I met Brom, Gerald Brom, the artist who had major D&D artist. He was the guy that created Dark Sun, designed Dark Sun. I met him at Transworld in Chicago, the big Halloween trade convention. That was pretty cool. And then I met Larry Elmore at Motor City Comic Con.
Elmore is probably my favorite artist.
It was amazing
of all time.
It was amazing to meet him. It was like, I mean, I was so thrilled. And the thing is like, I mean, he had people coming up to him and stuff, but he didn't have like holy shit long like comic book artist lines, because I mean he was constantly kind of like dealing with people and stuff, but it wasn't like a half an hour wait to talk to him. He waited like 5 minutes, and he always had time for everybody to talk to him and shit, so it was pretty cool.
Well, when that shit came out with Hickman, when he did that thing about Critical Role and he made that crack.
Yeah.
Elmore actually came out and kind of slammed him for it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was just because like it was a comparison in the characters of the Dragonlance companions and the Mighty Nine.
Yeah.
And like kind of slamming the Mighty Nine. And it was like,
well, he used a fascist phrase and things like that too. So it's
like, what are you doing, dude? This is not, we're not gatekeeping around here. This is, the people can play the game the way they want to play it. It's all right. Man, that's fucked up. Yeah, fucked up.
I didn't realize Larry Elmore was actually from Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that either. That's cool. So we probably should actually get to some more of our actual subjects. We were going to talk about, let's just to build on D&D. I did listen to the very first episode of the new Critical Role show, Exandria Unlimited. I don't want to get spoilery because Chris hasn't listened to it yet, but the new DM is fantastic. She's really great. Oh, she's a lot of fun. She's different from Matt. She definitely is different, but she's very descriptive. She's good at that. She's good at painting the picture for you visually and verbally. I'm not seeing a whole lot of variation in voice and character work like Matt does, but Matt's got a sorcerer that's a divine soul sorcerer. So he's throwing around like clerical spells as a sorcerer kind of, and it's really kind of cool. He's a dwarf that's like very out of the ordinary. And what new DM? And there's also the two new players have been a lot of fun so far. Seeing Liam and Ashley in brand new roles that are very different from them before. Liam's playing a dex-based fighter, halfling dex-based fighter.
He had said that if he played his next character was going to be a halfling, and he was going to spam the fuck out of that luck feat.
And it's funny too because
that halfling luck.
In this episode, he rolled like 2 or 3 nat ones, and I forgot about it. He even mentions at one point, he goes, I was giving Regal shit for months because he never used that natural luck thing. What is it? Lucky, just the luck.
It's halfling luck.
Halfling luck. And he goes, and I've rolled 2 nat ones, and I forgot. So they didn't let him roll it back, but after then he did do it again. He's like, oh, I'm going to re-roll this one. It was great. So all in all, I mean, like I said, I don't want to get too much. It's only going to be 8 episodes. It takes place 30 years after the Chroma Conclave, for those of you guys who have listened to Vox Machina. Oh man, CD just saw the episode of Vox Machina with Will Wheaton. Yeah, the worst luck.
Worst dice roller ever.
Oh my god.
And it permeated. It stayed. It stays after he leaves.
They needed to exercise the studio. It's crazy. But anyway, the show it's fun. It's like, so there's only 5 players in the party, and then the dungeon master, and I can't remember everybody's names, but there's some solid talent there, and some really cool characters. They're all and many of them are kind of dumb. It's like the characters are kind of idiots, but in a good way. They're just like, and they're starting at 2nd level too. So they I mean, you can get from 2nd level to like 5th or 6th level relatively quickly, but it should be interesting to see, like, I mean, at an 8 episode campaign, it should be interesting to see like how many levels they're going to gain in this short span of time. So yeah, time to power level. Yeah, fucking A.
Yeah.
EXU is the frat party of Critical Role. You're not wrong, man. I mean, they started off the show all hungover.
Oh, did they?
All the characters were basically waking up from a bender the night before, essentially. And
well, I was kind of YouTube surfing the other day, and I was going through looking at a bunch of other like D&D live stream. Sure. And one that I found was a live stream from D&D Live 2020, where Deborah Anwal was asked to run a game. And
yeah, she's run a bunch of celebrity
games. She's like, I don't have a name for the game. That's why we're just calling it Deborah's Game, because I just called up a bunch of my friends and said, hey, do you want to play? So she had like another woman that was from True Blood, and she had a couple other guys, but she also had Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, no, he's a big gamer.
Oh yeah, and in her first D&D game ever, Amy Acker.
Really? In her first game ever?
Yep. And it's funny because when they're introducing the characters, I just kind of watched the very beginning. They're introducing the characters, and Amy Acker's like, and you see her look at the screen, and because you can tell she's reading it off the screen, she's like, I'm a half elf rogue charlatan. I think that's everything. That's what I remember.
That's funny.
That's what Deborah told me.
That's great. I think coming up, Kevin Smith is involved in a big celebrity game too. Like Kevin Smith, Jay Muse, and
Kevin Smith was on Deborah's show. Relics and Reliquaries or whatever.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
It was actually his first time ever playing. He said, as big a nerd as he is, he said he never played D&D as a kid.
Right, exactly. And so that's really cool. But yeah, he and Jay are going to be in a and it's a bunch of several other kind of well-known celebrities. I can't remember what it was. It kept coming up on my Facebook feed, and then they've got one like special guest that they haven't revealed, and it's going to be for charity, I guess, and stuff. So I'll have to look that up, and we'll have to see if we can find it, and then we'll have to put it up on the page on the Fabooks. What else? Oh, okay. So we should move on.
Keeping with D&D.
Yeah.
I started playing Dark Alliance.
Right.
Because I was able to get it for free through my Xbox Game Pass, and I can do that either on the Xbox or on the computer. So I decided to do it on the computer.
Okay.
I may download it on the Xbox too, just to compare how it plays. But I've only played the very beginnings. Kind of played through the tutorial and then a little bit into the first act of the first quest. And I gotta say, it's kind of cool looking. Not crazy about the character design, the way that they make the characters look, but Um, Overall, it's it's kind of fun if you just want a button masher game.
Okay.
It is not it's not that great. I
Yeah,
don't think.
and that's what the initial reviews have been. It's not. It's pretty, but it's not really a great
Yeah,
game per se.
it was okay, but I mean it was when I got killed. There's save points as you go along these little camps that you and they're supposed to be save points. Well, I found one. Thought I had saved myself. I wound up getting killed, and I was quite a ways in when I got killed, and it dumped me all the way back to the beginning of that level. And I started running through. I'm like, do I have to fight everything? And I'm running. I'm like, okay, it looks like everything's still dead, but I still have to run the entire distance in. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm done. And I haven't gone back to it.
Yeah. I'm hearing that like I said, from what my initial reviews were and that I had heard, it's pretty and I mean, like it looks cool, but I've also heard and that soloing the game is really hard, particularly as you progress. I mean, and you can find more stuff and get more and upgrade your character and find weapons and armor and stuff like that. But it's not an RPG. It's a button masher
The
adventure
button
game.
masher adventure game.
Yeah, and
They call it the RPG, but what the RPG sections are, you walk up and you hit where it says you can talk, and you hit the button to talk, and it's a one-sided conversation. They say something to you, and that's it. There's no
mhm,
choice of responses. There's no auto responses. It's just that's it.
right, exactly. So I think I'm going to check this game. I'll check that game out later. Maybe when it goes on super sale. I mean, honestly, it's only $40, a brand new PS5 game that's only $40, which that means generally that as a content, the content of the game is not extensive, you know.
Yep. You know, I wouldn't
So,
mind seeing like a Driss Jordan movie if they did it right.
oh fuck yeah, yeah, we definitely need a Drist movie. I mean,
I
Jesus.
mean, they're making a D&D movie, and I guess there's been some pictures from the set. Netflix, you'll make anything.
What's that? Yeah, Netflix. Yeah, I'll make it. Well, speaking of new shows or whatnot, or hey, they'll make anything these days. It was just announced today that Good Omens has been renewed for season 2.
And
Now, Chris and I were talking about this a little bit off the show
yeah,
before we started the show, and Chris is not a big fan of this whole idea
no, I
because,
and there's a reason, and it's
right,
there is one fucking book. When they had an interview with Neil Gaiman, someone specifically asked, "Is this going to be? Will it be more than one season?" He said, "No, there's only one book." And then Netflix came back, or Prime came back and went, "Hey Neil, look at all these zeros." He's like, "You know what?
yeah,
There can be more to that
there
story.
could
It's
be
what it
more.
really
Okay.
is."
So what it says here, in a surprising move, Amazon has renewed Good Omens for a second season. The move is surprising because the first season was billed as a miniseries adapting the one Good Omens novel co-written by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. Despite Amazon hinting at a desire to extend the series previously, it still comes as a bit of a shock since the first season covered the novel's entirety. The second season will have to develop a new story for its angelic and demonic duo. David Tennant will return to play the demon Crowley, and Michael Sheen returns as the angel as Aziraphale. While it may have an original story, Good Omens' second season won't venture too far from the original themes, as it was once again sees Crowley and Aziraphale teaming up to save humanity from the apocalypse. The first season of Good Omens debuted in 19, won a Nebula Award and a Hugo Award, and earned a Peabody Award nomination. The new season, comprised of 6 episodes, is set to begin production in Scotland later this year. Amazon did not release a window,
Yeah.
or name a release window.
So my big issue with this is that that story was a combo of Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman.
Exactly.
Terry Pratchett is unfortunately no longer with us.
Nope. I'm kind of
Therefore,
young, actually.
there can be no more Good Omens. That will, no matter what they do, it will not be the same.
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm sure there's some good DB writers out there, and Neil Gaiman is involved. I mean, hell, he tweeted.
There is no other Terry Pratchett out there.
All right, fair enough. Well, we shall see. I mean, is it going to stop you from watching it?
Probably not, because I love Tenet, but
Right. And honestly, I mean, Good Omens was fucking fantastic. I mean, it was one of the best. It was truly one of the best
it
books
was
to
one
television.
fucking book. It was
Yeah.
great that it was one season and one book.
Sure.
I loved that they
Yeah.
weren't going to try and milk it for more. And honestly, I might just boycott it just out of principle. I don't think they should do it. I think this is a bad sign. You shouldn't do that with things.
Okay. Gaiman has written before about how he and his co-writer would handle a Good Omens television series. He referred to a planned sequel that he and the late Pratchett never got around to writing. It says it's 31 years since Good Omens was published, which means it's 32 years since Terry Pratchett and I lay in our respective beds in a Seattle Seattle hotel room at a World Fantasy Convention and plotted the sequel. I got to use bits of the sequel in Good Omens. That's where our angels came from. Terry's not here any longer, but when he was, we had talked about what we wanted to do with Good Omens and where the story went next, Gaiman said. What do you think of Good Omens? Okay, well, so that's just the rest of the article. But so, I mean, apparently they did have some plans to write a Good Omens too. And that's where he kind of integrated some of the other things that we saw. As long as at least Neil is involved, I'm okay with that. You know, he is a big voice in that movie, and honestly, it's one of my favorite books.
Don, I gotta say that's not a good comment. I don't think that's a valid argument, saying that Jack was the only good Joker, because that's recasting versus creating an entirely new story. There's a difference, and
yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah, and honestly, Jack wasn't the only good Joker. He wasn't even the best Joker. So
no, he was good for the time, but he was still surprising, and I still, to this day, will say he might have captured a particular kind of Joker, but I still don't feel like he looked like the Joker to me.
No, not at all.
He was too squat. He wasn't skinny enough.
I really think I think Bowie would have been a better pick for looks.
Physically, yeah.
Because I heard he was up for it too, and it kind of came down between him and Nicholson.
Did you see what CD just wrote?
I hear Star Wars, but I digress. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's not get Chris off on a rant here. All right.
All right. Wait. Let me pull up my soapbox.
Yeah. Let's get some of that there. So anyway, so Good Omens 2 coming sometime in 2022, more than likely. Another quick announcement today. It was announced as well that Theater Bazaar will not be going on this year. It was generally something that a lot of us involved were probably thinking it probably wasn't going to happen because there hadn't been a whole lot of preparation happening. But it was announced officially on the Facebook page and on Twitter that the Zombo will sleep for another year. That unfortunately we will not have the Theater Bazaar. How could Tolkien ever top The Hobbit? Shit. Anyway, Theater Bazaar will not be happening this year, but they are moving forward, planning for 22. So we'll have a year and almost 18 months, or about 16 months, to plan for that. The other problem was too, I think one of the things that really clinched it was over the weekend, the Masonic Temple experienced a lot of flooding. Apparently, one of the lower basements had 15 feet of water.
Holy crap!
Up to the roof and up to the ceiling, and then one of the lower floors where the Crystal Ballroom is on got about 12 inches on its lowest point. Got about 12 inches of water. So it's one of the floors that had like lower areas and higher areas. So
Renee's supposed to be going to a concert there next Thursday.
Well, I'm sure that the water will be not there anymore, but
I guess it's like a quartet doing Vivaldi by candlelight.
Oh wow. I you know what, I think I saw a thing about that on, I think one of the guys that works at the Masonic Temple.
That it's in the Crystal Ballroom.
Okay. Well, Renee, it might not be in the Crystal Ballroom next week. I wouldn't be surprised if they'll move it to a different theater in the Masonic. There's plenty of them. There's a lot of them. So the Crystal Ballroom is one of the biggest though. So we'll have to see. so that was painful to hear. That was painful, unfortunately. I am still moving forward on the Canterbury Medieval Walk or Medieval Stroll that's going on the third weekend of July. I think it's the third weekend. It might be the last weekend, the way the weekends fall. I'm not sure. Let me double check on the date. Yes, July. It's the third weekend of July. July has 5 weekends this year.
Yes.
Well, 4.5, because the last day of July, the 31st, is a Saturday.
So the 16th, 17th?
No, it's the 24th and 25th.
Okay.
Is of July.
That's the fourth weekend.
The fourth weekend, excuse me, is going to be.
I was going to say, so does that mean you're not going to be there for the 16th for Tavern Nights?
No, I will be there. It's and it's Saturday and Sunday, so it's for those you guys want to come out, Canterbury Village, in here in just north of Detroit, just south of Flint. It's going to be a good time. We're going to do, it's going to be a medieval themed, like a mini Renaissance festival. And I will be playing my Oliver Ogre character. So it could be fun. So yeah. What else did we want to talk about?
Sorry, just fixing something. Yeah, for me, that'll depend on if I'm in town. I may be out of town that week. We'll see. If I am, maybe Renee and I'll come out.
Cool, that'd be awesome.
Let's see. The early reviews of Black Widow are in.
Yes.
And almost all of them are saying that this could be the best standalone movie in the MCU.
They're saying that it has been well worth the wait, that it's that the comedy and the heart and the family aspect and everything blends well together.
And they said they really do a good job of dealing with like someone who's trying to recover from abuse, and things like that. But they said that they could have done a better job if they didn't have the mufflers of the mouse ears on their head.
Like maybe it would have been better if it had been given an R rating or something. And
if it just hadn't been Disney.
I see. Okay.
Right. But the biggest complaint I've seen is that it becomes very much an ensemble movie again, and that Black Widow is just winds up as a supporting character in her own.
Oh, okay.
That she's some people have said that she's outshined by what's her name? The other
sister. Black Widow?
Yeah, her sister. Fuck, I can't think of the name right. I got it right. Yelena.
Okay.
But
they're also saying that Elena or whatever will probably, will be replacing her as the Black Widow, potentially.
They're saying
that
we are going to see Yelena more in Hawkeye.
Okay.
I've seen that as well. I've also heard that Rachel Weisz is incredible as always.
I also heard that as well. I heard she's really great. And I've always liked her ever since the Mummy movies, man.
What's his name? Hooper?
Yeah.
He just hams it the fuck up, they said.
Yeah, he plays he plays the Guardian, right?
Yeah. And they said that he is just so over the top and
right. He plays Alexei, the Red Guardian. Yeah, he plays Alexei Shostakov. Russian words and things and letters. Yes, Alexei Shostakov, the Red Guardian, pretty much the Captain America of the Soviet Union at the time. Mm-hmm. So, but he's much bigger and he got bigger and fat, sort of, and kind of it still fits, and he stuffed himself into the costume, and I'm looking forward to it. I think I like him a lot. I like his name is David Harbour. I really like him.
Yeah.
I think he's really
he's been great in Stranger Things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the guy. It's interesting because he's had an interesting career. One of his earliest one of his earliest roles was in Brokeback Mountain. I guess he
Hmm.
was in that. He has been on done a lot of
But
movies, a little bit of TV.
yeah,
Um,
but overall, the reviews of Black Widow are saying that this is a fantastic movie with a really good um female led cast.
yeah,
That it's solid. It deals with a lot of issues and hits on a lot of points. That it's very very much not an MCU movie, is what they're saying.
sure.
It is the most un MCU movie that they've made, and it is, but it may be the best standalone. And they said it's actually it's a decent send off to the character,
Okay,
but that it should have come earlier is what some of the
for sure, for sure. It definitely should have come earlier. I mean, it's ridiculous that they didn't. That it that I hate the whole idea that um that they waited this long to do this, because it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's just the conception that you couldn't have uh that you couldn't have a movie that was led that had a female lead. That's absolutely asinine to me. I do not like that at all. Women can lead films. It's absolutely
they can lead
they
action
can
films
lead
too.
action. That's what I mean. They can lead action films. Absolutely. Just the idea that they can't is
I mean,
completely asinine.
Atomic Bomb. That's just right there.
Atomic Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I mean, a lot of the movies that Charlize Theron has done
Yeah,
have been action oriented. I mean,
yeah, but I
the
mean,
Mad
just
Max
but
movie
her in that role as the lead. I mean,
was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Um,
the only other thing I had, moving on, because I want to have some time to talk about Loki, but
sure.
was, and I posted this on the Facebook page later last week, I think, or maybe even like shortly after the show. But the Picard season 2 teaser trailer came out, was dropped by
Well,
Paramount.
the first teaser trailer was just the images of like the
Yes,
camera moving over the desk and stuff. So we
yes.
got a second trailer
Well,
that
but
actually
it's still a teaser trailer.
it's still a
They're
teaser,
still calling it a teaser.
but it still shows more
Yes.
footage.
Yeah, it
More
shows
action
Jean Luc
footage.
going back to his
His
vineyard,
home,
his home,
looking for
and
his friends.
yeah, and he's like, "What is going on here?" And you see him putting his hands in his head, and in his hands, or his head in his hands, and
And you hear
you hear like it's almost like it's in his head though.
right, and you hear Jean-Luc. What is it? Something like you don't look the way I thought
What
you
did
would,
you
or something.
expect, Jean Luc,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that?
And he basically was like, in reference to the fact that Jean-Luc's looking pretty old these days. And then
Oh yeah,
what do
and
we see?
then he makes the comment about him looking old.
Yeah. And then what do you see? We see John Delancey. We see Q
Also looking much older.
Also looking much older, oddly enough. And
I have a feeling they're going to do that because Jean-Luc looks older. That's how they're going to explain why Q looks older.
He's like, yeah, we'll join the party. Why not? I'll look older too. But if anything, John Delancey looks pretty fucking good. I mean, he's looking pretty good. His, got that gray haircut. His hair and it's a very gray, but looked pretty fantastic. And it was funny because, I mean, it looked like he was. Aliens. Sean, you're right. Sigourney Weaver. She was the first, really. Yeah. But it looked like Q was ready to give him a big hug. He was like, "My friend Jean-Luc, I missed you so." And it's just, I can't wait to see their interplay.
The preview gave me the trailer gave me fucking chills because the way that he was talking, he's like, now we've come to the end of the road not traveled. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, that's all the way back to Next Gen. And
they established in the final episodes of Next Gen that the entire series was essentially a test that Q had put them through.
Yep, of humanity. Yep,
that he was testing them the whole time, or that And I don't think the whole thing was like Q just setting them up and everything. That wasn't, but it was him observing how they reacted
Yeah.
to the things, and that the test was ongoing. It was going to be a nonstop kind of thing.
You know,
So
see, I agree with CD. I think Q's going to save him from death because that's the whole thing. Is he's got that condition that's about to kill him, and he needs a way to. They need to bring in a way of saving Picard's life right now.
sure,
At least extending his life.
extending it. I mean, he's in that. He's in that. I mean, they transferred his consciousness into an artificial form, so it's not like. I mean, he could potentially live. I think they did give him a. I mean, he's not immortal. They did
Yeah.
give him a death, a death time eventually. But timey-wimey plot, Fixie. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you're right. This is the first time we've seen Q since Q showed up on Voyager.
Right.
And so it's gonna be interesting. Q was honest to God's. The Q episodes of all of the shows were some of my favorite episodes. Anytime Q showed up, I was always like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun."
Well, him and Kate Mulgrew are really good friends.
Yeah, they actually were.
They actually were friends before she became a captain, I believe.
Yeah.
And so when he came on to Voyager, those were just like them having fun.
It was so funny because he was trying to romance her the whole time. It was so fucking funny.
I never actually watched. I didn't watch all of Voyager. I watched bits and pieces here and there. I kind of got bored with Voyager after a while. But one of the other things that we see is we see 709 waking up, and going and looking and seeing her Ranger badge, and then looking in the mirror, and then turning and looking back and reaching up and touching her head because she has no implants.
Her implant is gone, right? Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. Well, we're going to see time travel. We're obviously going to see some kind of time travel, and he's going to have to fix the time stream. Something has gone wrong, and
he's going to have to fix the sacred time stream. Stop the
yeah,
variant.
it's going to have to stop the variant. Captain Jellicoe, fuck you and your Captain Jellicoe. God, Ronnie Cox, that was painful, man. Calling Will Riker Will instead of number one. Oh, it was painful. Sean, it was terrible. I did not care for Ronnie Cox in that role. So yeah, dude, I can't wait for Picard. I believe they're done filming, so now it's all just post.
They're saying it's going to be 2022, but they haven't said when.
Yeah, I'm guessing it'll be early, because I mean we've got Strange New Worlds coming out soon, and I think they'll probably put Disco season 4 out before Picard 2. So I just get worried, man. I mean, Patrick Stewart's getting up there in age. I mean, he's in his early 80s, and I mean, there's only so many years he's going to want to continue to do this, because it's got to be hard on that old man, And like just some of the stuff that they had him doing in the first season, you're like, oh my God, they're gonna break him! Don't break him! Don't break Space Grandpa! Oh man.
I was just looking up things to see. I haven't seen anything. Still moving forward. I was just looking up because one of the things I haven't heard anything on, and all this talk made me think of it, is the Orville.
Yeah.
And whether when if ever that's coming back, and they said they are still working on season 3.
They are still working. I've done a little kind of on again, off again research here and there, and you know what? I haven't watched Shadow and Bone yet. I have to soon because Stella loves Ben Barnes.
They're hoping for an October 2021 premiere.
October of 21 for Orville?
For Orville is what they're hoping.
That'd be great. Season 3 needs to happen. It is, and they've said, I think I read somewhere that it is going to be one of the most Star Trekiest seasons of.
They're moving to Hulu, so.
Right. It's a Hulu exclusive now instead of like it just being like a Fox show that was on Hulu. So they have more budget. They have more time to do everything that they want to do, because McFarlane talked about the fact that the show is Ben Barnes is fine. I know. Stella loves it. But yeah, McFarlane talked about that the show is expensive because of all the things they want to do.
Yeah.
All the special effects and all the FX shots and stuff. So, but they have said that it is coming and it's going to be awesome.
I'm going to have to go back and watch the first 2 seasons again.
I'm definitely going to rewatch them. Yeah, for sure.
And 1, because I want to, and 2, to catch up. But, just Sean, to answer your question, what did you think of Shadow and Bone? I haven't finished it yet. We actually just started watching it. Renee and I did a couple days ago. We only watched the first half of the first episode. And for me right now, it's a lot because I don't know anything about the world because I've never read the books. But so and they just kind of throw you in. There's no explanation about what this fucking rift is or whatever they call it, or the whatever that they have to cross. And right now they're just getting ready to cross it, and people are like scarring their arms because when they cross. So like when they make it back, they give themselves a mark, and they have marks down their arm for every time that they've crossed and survived.
Man, that sounds horrible. Sean, to answer you guys, it looks like originally The Expanse season 6 was supposed to come out in July, but I think due to COVID delays, they're looking at more than likely either late 21 or early 22 before we're seeing a season 6 on that show.
Okay, so Renee says that they throw you in to Shadow and Bone just like.
Oh yeah, just lay you in there.
Yeah,
huh?
well, Butcher did that with his Caldera series too. They just kind of throws you in. It takes you half a book to figure out how magic works and what the world's like. But which that's okay if you can get through that section while still being confused and not knowing what's going on. The Expanse is one that is high on my list of shows I want to see, but it's got 5 seasons, so it's one of those where it's easier for me to go, well, let's watch Shadow and Bone. It's only got 8 episodes or 10 episodes, whatever it is. Let's watch this. And
time for us to catch up on The Expanse. I know. And I mean, I watched the first season of The Expanse and I was like, man, this is brilliant. I got to come back to it. And I definitely am going to, but there's just so much shit to watch, man. So much.
Okay.
Stick with it and watch them.
It's like a D&D party backstory.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, I hear it's really cool. Guys, I talk about Expanse for hours. Well, it's hard sci-fi, and it's supposed to be. It's really, really great and very believable hard sci-fi. I am looking forward to getting into it. So,
all right. Well, we should move on to Loki, though.
We should. We're coming up on near the end of the show. Loki, episode 3. Now we have 6 episodes in the season, so we are now
halfway through.
Now, the show opens pretty much with Loki and Sylvie, who we now know her name is Sylvie. We do find out her name is Sylvie in this episode.
So that's one of the things. So let's just, before we even start with that, let's talk about that, because it gets into it more later. But she is a Loki, but she's now Sylvie.
Right.
So what I think they're going to wind up doing with the MCU is they're going to create the Enchantress out of her, and that she is going to be a Loki variant, but she's not a Loki. She's going to be her own person.
Okay. Well, they kept things specifically vague, because like Loki shared quite a bit of background information about himself with her, about talking about Frigga and
and he actually brings that up at one point. He's like, I don't know that much about you. I've told you all about me. And she's like, yeah, thanks for the tactical advantage.
Yeah, and he's like, wait a minute, who was your mother? And she's like, never mind, or whatever.
Well, he's like, I don't remember her.
Yeah,
bits of flashes of memory.
The fact that she, it wasn't actually. You're right, CD. It was an exposition episode for the most part.
Yeah,
landing on this planet in 40 years in the future.
They start off with right where they left off episode 2, with them going through the portal.
Correct.
And they come out in the TVA.
Right.
Where
that's right.
Where Sylvie then proceeds to kick the shit out of all the TVA guards. Although she tries using her magic first. Yeah. And finds out it fizzles.
Right. So, which leads me to believe that she's never been there before. So then she has to rely on just her hand-to-hand combat. Now, what a lot of people seem to forget is the fact that physically, as Guardians, whether they're Thor or they're a casual, like they're a chambermaid, they are physically more powerful than your average human.
Yep.
Like they can still lift a car or stop a bullet with their, they can't. They're essentially bulletproof too. I mean, it may be higher caliber weapons, maybe less so. Thor, because he is one of the Aesir, he's one of the gods. He, and as is Loki, they are a magnitude level more powerful than your average Asgardian. But even without the magic, even without all this stuff, Loki is still physically going to be more powerful than a normal human. The kind of guy that if you tried to punch him, he wouldn't even move, and you'd hurt your hand.
Well, unless you're the Hulk,
unless you're the Hulk, a normal human couldn't do that. I'm just gonna lay here and let my bones knit back together.
I
still
Thor across the room.
Right. I still say that was one of the funniest things in any of the Marvel movies. Yeah, was the Hulk just grabbing Loki in mid rant and just boom, 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 boom. It was
and Loki laying there going.
Took him by surprise. I loved it in Ragnarok when he saw Thor, or when Loki saw the Hulk for the first time, and he's just like, just the sheer look of fear and like the post-traumatic stress that he was like, just like he's sweating because the Hulk is there. Anyway, we see. I mean, again, Hiddleston is killing it. He's absolutely killing it, and
he's fantastic because he's still early Loki. He's not that one. He's not the Loki from Infinity War.
Ragnarok and Infinity War. You're right. I mean,
he hasn't grown to that point yet.
Right. He has grown a lot. I mean, he has made some strides, but he's still like planning to burn down the TVA. He's still planning on taking over, and this is the most powerful power. And so we're still seeing a manipulative Loki for sure.
Yes. So the fight scene that Sylvie has there, though, is absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible. Her running up walls and flipping around and
She's
using their own weapons against them and everything like that. But then they get to the elevator door and then Loki approaches, and when he comes through, he realizes that he came into the locker room.
And he grabbed his daggers.
He's like, "Hey, my daggers are right over there." And he grabs them and he comes in and he's like, got him in his hand, and him and Sylvie start fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And
I found that to be interesting too, because the fact that she fights with a sword, like it's like a kind of a short scimitar, or maybe about a scimitar, and he fights with two daggers. I mean, they're both kind of like a shorter weapon, so you do still kind of got to get up close and personal. But daggers, man, you can't. They're throwing. Of course, everybody's played D&D. They're throwing weapons, but they're also a close-up hand-to-hand weapon, and you got to be agile. You got to be dexterous because you don't have that reach. You've got to get in there, and so I found that to be interesting that they had two very different fighting styles, kind of separated them even further.
Yeah, but while they're fighting though, they can't get into the elevator, and then what's her name? The judge shows up.
Ravana,
with a couple of her guards. Yeah, and as she runs forward, Loki just grabs the portal thing and opens it up and just goes to a random spot.
Right. And then unfortunately when they land, they realize, they're struggling and they're fighting. They realize that he's got the data pad or whatever it is, and it's out of power. So now they've got to figure out, they're on a planet that the moon is going to crash into.
They're on a moon that the planet's going to crash into.
Okay. They're on a moon that the planet's crashing into. Then you see at one point, the planet just breaks. I mean, it just in half, and you're like, oh God. And so you got debris raining down.
Where did you send us?
Yeah, and she realizes, it's like 50 years in the future, or 40 years in the future.
2077.
2077.
So it's not quite as big a disaster. The planet falling into the moon is not quite as big a disaster as Cyberpunk 2077.
Right.
But it's
man. Exactly. So it's a pretty big deal, and I think the whole thing is
the name of the episode was actually the name of the planet too. And it's a big planet in Marvel, from what I was reading.
I don't remember. I didn't remember the reference. I didn't notice it. Yes, and see, the thing is, Sean, I was thinking that myself. I was thinking that this whole episode was going to be Loki trying to con Sylvie the whole time because he was pumping her for information. He was like,
Lamentus.
just what is it, Lamentus?
Lamentus one.
Yeah, Lamentus one. And I was thinking that too. I was thinking that, he's gonna not have the data pad, or he's gonna pretend he lost it or whatever else. And that it was all going to be a big con. And it could turn out that way still. We don't know what the next episode is going to be. Bendis one. Exactly. It's like a world breaker. So I think we're still going to see it. We still got obviously a lot to see from the next 3 episodes.
Yeah. So they wind up figuring out where they are, and she's like, you didn't just send us to an apocalypse, you sent us to the worst one.
Yeah.
And so they start looking for a power source, and there's a little bit of comedy between them where they're, like Loki's like, will that do it? And it's a neon sign basically. It goes over, I'm just checking the couplings. Yeah, give me the thing. And he's like, no. You know what? You're gonna have to do better than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this has to travel, allow us to travel between space and time. It's not going to be powered by a nightlight.
Yeah. I mean, he's not stupid. The guy's really smart. So is she.
She's not the only tech savvy Loki.
Yeah. That was it. Not the only tech savvy Loki. Because you've got to know Loki's going to know his way around technology way better than say Thor does. Like, Thor doesn't have a cell phone, but I bet you Loki would. Loki would have a cell phone. He'd have a tablet. He'd have a laptop. He'd know how to use them well.
But yeah, so then they wind up in that town, and they go to that one door.
She goes to kick it open, and bam! And Loki just, you've got to know he had to hold back the laughter,
Yeah.
And so he's like, let's try some finesse. So he tries to finesse the farmer or lady or whatever.
Yeah, he looks in the window and sees a picture.
Yeah, and so he transforms himself into probably her husband. And she's like, what? And at first he thinks, oh, I've got her. And then blam!
And she's like, he never said anything that nice in 30 years.
Yeah. See, now my question is who is on this planet? Are these humans in the future? Because if that's the case, we've come a long way in 50 years, I was guessing maybe it's just another
well, I believe that's actually a Kree settlement.
Oh, is it?
From what I remember.
Well, there are white Kree, so you never know. But it was very, very, it was pretty cool. I mean, it was really funny. So they figure out that this poor woman who's obviously resigned herself to die when the planet dies, that they got to go. I wonder if she could hide before the snap. Ooh, I don't know, man. That's a pretty big apocalypse. The snap. That's pretty crazy. I bet you she could.
Yes,
Lamentus
is a Kree world.
Okay, cool. They figure out that they have to get onto the Ark, and that the only way to recharge this thing is to probably tap into the power source for this Ark that their people are going to get trying to get on. So they get on. They con their way using both of their abilities.
Yep,
they con their way.
They actually kind of work together there to get on.
They did. Because at first he's just trying to use his illusion ability and whatnot to con his way on, but then finally she kind of mesmerizes the guy and enchants him, because she's an enchantress, and is able to con their way onto the train.
Oh, and one of the things that we didn't talk about earlier on in the show too is we see Sylvie talking to D20 or whatever that one TVA agent's name was that she got the info from.
Yeah.
And they're sitting at a bar drinking
yeah.
margaritas.
Yeah.
And
I found that to be interesting.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened here? She's in this girl's mind.
Yeah, and then later on we find out that when Loki asks her about how her power works, she says, well, okay, she finally explains it to him. She's like, I have to basically grab their mind.
Right.
And most people, it's just instantaneous. It's really easy. But if they have a strong will, then I have to actually create a memory from. I have to create a fantasy from their memories,
Hmm.
which is what she had to do with that particular VA guard.
Right. Right. Um, and I liked it when she tried to do it to Loki, and he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
and she's like, "Why doesn't it work? Is it
What are you
because
doing?
it's because
You're
you know
trying to
magic
enchant
too?"
me.
Yeah, and he's like, "No, I just have a very strong mind," and he's like,
Yeah.
"Not gonna work," you know. So they're on the boat, or they're on the ship, not the boat. They're on
Train.
the train, and she falls, and they're back and forth, and he talks about his mother, and she's, being very evasive, and eventually she kind of falls asleep and wakes up to him entertaining the entire room, and he's singing
Back in his normal
in his
clothes.
normal clothes, and she even looks at, "Where's your uniform?" And he's like, "Fuck it, they don't care."
He's singing in Asgardian
Yeah,
slash
Norwegian or
Norwegian. Yeah.
something. Yeah, and it was beautiful. Honestly, it
That
was
one
like
middle part was really cool,
yeah, it
where
was
it
like
slows
this.
down. That was
Yeah, gods need to sleep too. Probably not as much, but they get tired too. Shit. Just like anybody, gods need to eat. They need to sleep.
the
And
thing
they're
is
probably just not as
they're
often as we.
not really gods. They're just seen as gods by humans.
They're just very, very powerful aliens. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the way they've written them in the movies.
Yep.
And they've even established in the comic books that the Asgardians were not immortal. They're not true immortals. I mean, they were extremely long lived.
Right.
And then the way they maintained their immortality was by eating the golden apples of Idun.
Well, I mean,
Or
they're
Iden
obviously
or
not
whatever.
immortal in the MCU because Odin
Finally dies.
finally
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah. But even so, in the comics, they've even established that Odin's a lot older than he lets on. Like, he's millions of years old. And whereas Thor is probably more like 10,000 years old. So, or, it depends. It's hard because they just established like that Odin was part of a group of essentially superheroes back in caveman days. So, um, it it's kind of murky. And thanks again to Bendis.
A pre-eternal.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but like I said, years ago, they established that like the Greek gods were true immortals. They were they didn't need the help of the golden apples of Idun to
Pre-eternal,
maintain.
Yes. That's what it is. Pre-eternal.
Pre-eternal. Yeah. But whereas the Asgardians did to have to eat one of those apples every couple thousand years. So, but I digress. So anyway, yeah, Loki is entertaining everybody. They're having a great time. He's singing this beautiful, like I said, it sounded Norwegian, but
and he's drinking.
And he's drinking, and he's kind of drunk.
When he does what Thor did in the original Thor, which is he finishes, he's like, another, and he slams the glass down.
Right. Now, see, this was when I was thinking that this was going to be that this was a con. That was as he was conning her. And they eventually get into a fight. Where the guards show up, somebody takes issue with him. Yeah. So the guards show up and they're like, "Hey, you guys aren't supposed to be here." And they end up getting thrown off the train.
Literally.
Literally. And when Loki lands, unfortunately, the pad breaks. And again, I thought, man, this has got to be another scam. I mean, he can make illusions that look very realistic. Can't trust anything the guy tells you. So maybe he's still trying to con her. And they realize, well, the only way off this planet now is that ark. And in the history, the ark is destroyed. And he looks at her and he goes, "Yeah, but they didn't have us last time." So now what they have to do is create a variant branch by making sure the ark gets off the planet.
Yep.
So now they've got to get there. So they've got about 8 hours or whatever, and they start hoofing it. And they get to where the ark is gonna launch. And I was like, when they get to this part of the show, I was like, when this episode was over, I was like, oh, that's it? I wanted so much more. But the coolest thing about this was when they get to the town, and of course it looks, like a mining town, essentially, because that's what it probably was, a mining colony. And everybody is kind of jockeying. They want to get on because it's only looking like mainly the beautiful people are the ones that are going to get the rich. Yeah. Are the ones that are going to get on this ark. And so they start making their way towards it, and then it is all one shot.
But
It's all,
it's multiple shots, but it's strung together to look like one shot.
I don't know, man. I was watching that pretty close, and it
Well,
looked
that
like it was
first, right in
all
the
one
beginning, when the
camera
blast
shot.
goes off and the cloud goes in, that's a cut, right? I'll guarantee that was.
Okay,
And then
I gotta watch it again
there's a
because it was
couple other. They
gorgeous.
actually, I think they even said there was a thing I saw that actually said it wasn't completely one cut, but it was still very well done,
Yeah,
and it was that camera that just moves with them, circles around them, and stuff. I mean, I really enjoyed that scene, and I timed it today. I actually watched the show again today, and I actually timed it. That was a full 2 minute scene where it was just them running from place to
running.
place and
Yeah,
seeing things blow up, and then at the end, seeing the ark destroyed. And
right. And it just
and
and
you
everybody
see
just stops.
when you see Tom Hiddleston huffing and puffing, and Renee and I were talking about when we first watched it, we're like, that's probably real.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And like I said, the arc gets hit by something that
A
ends up
very
destroying
large
it,
piece of
a
debris.
big piece of moon or a big piece of planet or whatever it was, and yeah, and it just is destroyed, and they're like, well, I guess that's it then. And everybody just stops. They stop fighting. They stop because they all just know they're going to die. There's nothing that anybody can do about this because this was the only off-world, this only a ship capable of traveling off planet. So, yeah, they're fucked. And then that's when the episode is just like, oh well, I guess we're over. And Sylvie walks off, and Loki is just like,
Yeah, she's just like, and walks off.
mhm. So they're fucked. Like I
And
said,
the
and
musical choices were amazing too, because the music at the end there was just, it was perfect. It was
yeah,
very, it
it
was way
was.
more upbeat, and it
Mhm.
had that, like, it very much had like a 70s feel, I think, to it.
Stella is a big. She tends to notice the music more than I do. I mean, I appreciate the soundtrack or the score of any film, but I think I get more wrapped up in the visuals. And so Stella was listening to it, and she for all of the shows she loves listening to the score, and so she looked it up, and I don't know, I can't remember who it was, but it is it's the person who scored it is a woman, and a younger woman at that. She's in her like mid 30s, and it's just gorgeously scored. It's really really well done. And honestly, like CD, you're right. The CGI, the scenery, everything was great in this episode. Like they really transplanted you to this alien landscape, and it was really well done. Uh, I really appreciate it. I just the detail level there was really great. The show just keeps getting better and better as we progress, and I'm really excited to see um, the next kind of chapter, the next couple of episodes. A friend of mine posted on Facebook the other day, like it's a meme. It was said, "You can't if you make a 9-hour movie, nobody will watch it, but you break it up into 9 episodes, and people will binge it and
Yep.
watch it all day." And it's true. It's fucking true, man. You break, it's all in the presentation. Um, did I mention The Expanse? Jesus Christ.
Felt like series
We'll
on
watch the
well,
goddamn show.
well, first he said the one before that is felt like series on The Expanse. Did I mention The Expanse?
CD has been working on us, Sean, for a while to watch this show, and I am gonna watch it. I really
And I
do.
will too. It's definitely,
Yeah.
all my friends have told me that what a great show.
Like I said, I got to rewatch the first season. It was great, and it is. It's one of the better, from my experience. It's one of the better kind of like believable, because they use a lot of really hard science, real hard science in that show to explain how we would live out there in space, and
It's sci-fi, not fantasy.
right, yeah, and
Science
it's very
fiction, not.
right. It's very believable. So and that's one of the things I do appreciate about it. I like good
Oh, is
sci-fi.
that what you appreciate about it?
That's what I appreciate about it. Um, and yeah, science fiction that is very believable. I like that a lot. So I know this is going to sound kind of abrupt, but it's getting late. We should probably
Yep.
wrap things up. Um, But hey, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Thanks, Sean, for swinging in. Always great to have you here, and great to have you watching and commenting and everything. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of days.
Thanks for the very active chat tonight.
Yeah, really great. But yeah, so guys, be sure to join us. Be sure to download us and stream us at all the places.
CD, thanks for coming out as always.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. CD, great. Thanks again for the donation. But be sure to join us and download us, stream us at all the places you can find quality podcasting, guys. We are on iTunes, the Google Play Store, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, radio.com. And of course, you can download and stream all of our episodes at www.nerdswithalcoholshow.com. We are right here on Twitch every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on Drinking Nerds. We then later put the show up on Drinking Nerds on YouTube a couple of days later.
Yep. And then you can follow us on most of the social medias. We're on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We are on Twitter at Drinking Nerds, Instagram Drinking Nerds, and if you have Untapped, you can just search for Drinking Nerds and send us a friend request, and we will get you added. Also, remember, we will be back on Friday night at around 7 o'clock to, might be a little bit later, depending on what time everyone. But yeah, we will be on for Tavern Nights, our D&D show. It's been a blast. The beginning of this one is going to be some more shopping as the crew decided they wanted to check out the other magic shop that they heard about. Greyhawk. They just got done with the awkward staff. And
Club Penguin
and okay. Borislav Botev.
Borislav Botev. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. He's our Glorious Gilmore, so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I am looking forward. I'm looking forward to eventually, road testing this new armor. So yeah.
Yeah. Now you
find out if it's a vestige of Divergence.
Arcane Affinity is the name of the other magic shop that you guys are
right. Exactly.
Totally. You also went to the Family Jewels, the jeweler.
We did go to the Family Jewels. You and your fucking names, man, I swear. Oh my God. Yeah, join us on Friday night at 7 o'clock, guys, for Tavern Nights. Great time.
Yep. And then we'll be back again next Tuesday, and then the following Monday for Tavern Talks.
Over and over again, and over and over again, and over and over and over and over again. We're gonna keep doing this until cod pieces half off. That's right. Your cod piece is always half off. Awesome. Hey, still funny.
All right. Well, I think that will about do it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks again, guys.
All right. And I think on that note.
Until next time. Slancha. Excellent.
That's okay.
That's good.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.